What's going on, all you wild rascals? Your two favorite archivists are back here for Cinephellas. I'm Logan Myers. This is my good mate over there,
Henry Hill.
And tonight, we're going to be diving into a brand new spooky series that just premiered on Netflix, a show that's based off a podcast series, and we're talking about Archive 81. Woo!
Please find me.
So the setup of the show, we have a guy named Dan Turner. He's an employee at the Museum of Moving Image, and he gets this mysterious position, remote position in the middle of nowhere by the CEO, essentially, and it's played by Martin Donovan. He's been in some Christopher Nolan movies we're familiar with, more recently Tenet, and basically takes Dan up to this remote facility where he has to basically put together footage. It's respooling fire damage footage and trying to figure out what exactly happened to this reporter journalist was carrying around her camera back in 1994 having to do with this mysterious cult. And he's putting the pieces together to really find out about this organization that hired him and the CEO, and really unraveling this really spooky and out there story. And that's pretty much the setup of the series.
It takes a little different route than your regular standard, found footage film that we're used to seeing. We've seen it ever since back in the day with Blair Witch Project, The Ring, these movies where it shows somebody recording as they go along and we sort of see through their eyes, through the recording. This follows Melody Pendress. She's this tenant of this hotel where for some reason they can't go up on the 6th floor. And, as the story deepens and she interviews people from this hotel that she's at, you find out more and more about this mystery involved in this the Visser, they call it, this Visser hotel or apartment complex. Actually, we find out that this video was taken back in the 90s. So we're going back in time looking at the story, and Dan Turner's the archivist that's putting all the pieces together. A lot of mystery involved in like why he was hired and taken to this mysterious little compound to put this footage together. But as he watches more and more of these tapes and the story unfolds, you find out about all this creepy occult and basically devil worship and all this terrifying things that are happening at this Visser hotel. And he eventually he's having these visions where he's actually seeing Melody, the girl from the found footage film. He's actually seeing her in real life. At first, we don't know, as the audience watching, whether he's slowly going into some sort of episode. We know he's dealt with some mental health issues in the past. His father was a psychologist, and we find out that he actually had Melody as a patient of his back then. So there's all these mysteries involved and what's going on and why he has to put this footage together. And as he finds out more and more over these 8 episodes of Archive 81, it was really satisfying for me. And it was a very interesting take on the whole found footage documentary feel. And it had some very creepy moments, like you mentioned, and there's some really unsettling stuff that happens as the story goes on.
Yeah, this essentially is 2 timelines, as you were saying. This is Melody back in 1994 with them putting together the footage, and then modern day today with Dan, being in this facility by himself, not really sure if he's starting to go crazy, if these things are happening to him, his visions, it's all in his head. And then you have this enigmatic CEO that's always keeping an eye on Dan to make sure he's okay, and always like calling him. It's like, hey, do you need medical attention, Dan? We have a facility 20 miles away. Do you need, need a doctor to see somebody? It's like, okay, we get it. So you're really questioning what's going on with Dan himself. Is he really crazy, or is this, all this stuff really happening? But basically bouncing back with the 2 timelines with Melody and Dan. It's really cool, having these visions and kind of what he's going through and what Melody's going through in this New York, apartment building, the Visser, and interviewing all these weird and creepy characters they introduce, like the maintenance guy and people that live in this place, that lived in this building for a long time, even going back to when the building, was around in the 1920s, and you have the old 1920s attire people back then having to do with this cult, essentially, in this statue. And it really sets up some really eerie things in the series. It really got under my skin, and I'm a guy that loves horror and thrillers and things like that, sci-fi, but it got under my skin especially a part having to do with this chanting they're doing and worshiping this sort of statue. And it was just really unsettling. It's something, an image I can't get out of my head.
Absolutely. We don't want to give too much away, from the mystery of the show. We want you guys to check out Archive 81 for sure. Another thing that is worth mentioning is the score and the music does a great job really setting the mood of the show and just adding to the uneasiness as you watch it. It really has this atmosphere to the show that, really, really does a good job and, setting the mood and creeping you out as you go along and find out more of the answers to some of the secrets on the show. And it definitely does dive into, demonic things and the occult, which leads to several like pretty crazy moments where you're getting a lot of gore. You're going to see some murder there. You're going to see a lot of psychological stuff, and you're going to go basically between worlds here in the show. So it's very out there, but very interesting take on the found footage concept, like we were talking about earlier. Like you mentioned, Martin Donovan as Virgil Davenport. He's this rich CEO guy. We don't ever fully find out exactly why he wants Dan to put these tapes back together. We get like a hint towards the end, but you don't even know if you can trust him. And the way the show ends in this first season, things are still up in the air. We get a couple answers, but it definitely lends itself to setting up a second season. And I really hope that we see a second season of Archive 81.
Yeah, all the buzz around the show has been really great. That's how I heard about it. A lot of the horror movie groups and horror pages and things like that have been talking about this. Really wanted to go in the fresh eyes. Had an absolute blast with this. A great series. A lot of supernatural elements, cult and horror and everything wrapped into 2 timelines of this young guy that's, hired to do a job in this mysterious location, being by himself. You're not really sure if he's starting to go crazy. Things are happening. Putting together this footage and finding out about this Melody character and having visions of, seeing her and not really sure if they're actually seeing one another. And it really sets up a cool ending without giving too much away of, Dan trying to go in to save this girl and really setting it up for another season. But I was really impressed across the board with the series, just going off some of the reviews, and I had a great time with this. Definitely one of the better shows I've seen this year in 2022 thus far. Definitely one of my favorites as well, and had a great time with it. Another honorable mention in the show is Mark, is Dan's good friend. He's like a podcast horror sci-fi guy that's reminded me of Dan Fogel a lot, that came in some comedic relief, but also there to help his friend, check on his friend Dan. And them together, they had really great chemistry. Yeah, just really great time with this. This is a series you guys should definitely check out. Streaming on Netflix right now, 8 episodes. You guys can definitely binge it in a few days and hopefully have as much as fun as me and this guy did. So with that being said, I loved Archive 81. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 Dan hair pieces.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I'm really happy that you got me to binge this series. This was a fun one to watch, a little different than what we've been watching lately, different genre. Happy to get back into some more horror elements. Since Halloween, we haven't really watched too much horror. It's nice to get something fresh, a nice new take on this, the horror genre. And from the perspective of these videotapes is very interesting. I like the whole archivist view, looking at this guy that has a lot of knowledge in that field of editing videos, much like yourself. It was cool seeing in this world, him interacting with his friend, the podcaster. That was really, relevant, obviously, to us and what we do. The acting on the show is really great. Even the minor characters, the little girl that plays Jess, Ariana Neal, she did a great job. You got another character, Samuel, a tenant in this apartment complex that Melody meets, played by Evan Jonigett. And then you have a couple other characters, Annabelle, played by Julia Chan. Really strong supporting cast, but mainly Dan Turner, Martin Donovan. Those are your big, and Melody's character, Melody, played by Dina Shiabi. They all do a great job. The acting really sells this. It could have been really, standard if it was just kind of a crappy cast and they weren't taking it seriously, but everybody does, their characters justice in this, and it really helps it propel this series forward. With that being said, I really had a great time. I'm glad I binged it. I was bordering on a 3.5 and either a 3.5 or a 4, but I'm gonna go ahead and bump it up, just the originality of it, and me, excited about a second season, and hoping that we get that, and hopefully Netflix will greenlight Archive 82 soon. So with that being said, I am gonna give Archive 81 a 4 out of 5 Melody Pendress hair pieces. Help me, Dan.
Is it real? For camera. It's funny because It was 1994. I had a camera like that in the early 2000s where I used to shoot all the old PUI videos, the old 8mm tapes and stuff. So it was very, relevant and relatable for me because I remember, early 2000s always carrying that around, making my own videos and things like that. And I thought that was really cool. Cool, unique premise, stands out compared to a lot of stuff today. So in terms of uniqueness, definitely a really fantastic show that people should check out. So if you guys out there have checked this out, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, check out these wild rascals on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our website, Cinephellas.com. Latest, greatest TV movie news and reviews.
That's right. So leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think of Archive 81. If you guys are horror fans or mystery fans, this is the show for you guys. Should definitely check it out. It's a fun binge watch, and you'll knock it out quickly. I knocked it out in a couple days. So that is it for these two wild rascals. We got to go return some videotapes. But until the next Cinephellas TV review, I'm Uncle Henry Hill. That's my good mate, Melody Myers. Cheers.